In the last episode, our crew learned more about the Astrals' technology and weapons after learning that the black metal they use to contain their yellow blood comes from the cavern below the city of Cirrus. Taking whatever they could to fight the dragon, Top Knot went to their laboratory where he crafted a barrel-sized freeze engine, determined to drop it on top of the volcano before it could erupt. After a few hours of getting their plans set up and gathering items, the squad joined back up on the ship once again, with a group of astral guards ready to fight with them. Reaching the desolate island, Felix was able to drop the freeze engine directly on top of the volcano, creating layers of ice around the top of the rupture. With enough power already put behind it by the Gray Slad, the magma beneath the island burst as the elementals drug themselves above the cracked earth. With multiple heavy strikes against our team and the final boss, the Ass Squad was able to destroy the elementals, following up with complete paralysis of the dragon. Swinging his swords, Penelope unleashed hell on the beast's head as our gorilla was able to pull the gemstone from behind its back. With a thump, the final boss had been defeated as our group traveled back into Brill, the sun beginning to set as they finished their quest. With great respect from the natives of the land, our group left DuPont with the Astrals with plans on viewing his execution later that night. Tracking the young human boy from earlier in the day, Penelope and his friends followed a small path up north, where they found a private house, as well as the gravestone of Sigilrod, a human hero from the lands of Muldoon, who saved the Astrals close to 200 years ago. Knocking on the door, they were left confused as a mid-30s human man and his wife opened their home. Also surprised to see a human, as well as a halfling and two dwarves, Oliver let the group inside, telling them that Sigilrod was one of his ancestors who saved Permador thanks to a green potion he had brought from Muldoon. Checking through Sigilrod's office, Penelope was left without a doubt that the hero was his son, Sterling, who left New Haven after the secrets of the magical force had been uncovered. With additional help from Oliver's grandfather, Bernard, the old man from the Turtle's Back, he explained that he was Sterling's grandson. The alchemist had left the continent of Muldoon to defend Permador before King Gerald could take over the land. Blasting DuPont from the main city, the ex-king was torn to shreds as he landed in the sea, with no celestial coming to save him. With their mission finished, Penelope heads back to his family as the rest of the crew decide on what they'd like to do with the rest of their lives. Welcome back to Retrograde, a D&D campaign by Fudged Roll. I'm your Dungeon Daddy, Derek Day, and with me is Andrew Akers.
Present.
Ty Sheets.
Haki.
Ian Jones.
Oh.
And Jesse Wagner.
Hello.
So in this final wrap-up, it'll be a two-parter. First, we'll start with any wrap-ups to finish the campaign, any endings we didn't get to in the final episode. And then second part, go view a rundown on what some of our side characters will be doing. And then finish up the Q&A, and I can give you some of my original plans from the beginning of the campaign.
I want to know those so bad.
I know. Yeah. I want to know how off the rails we went.
So I don't know how far you guys wanted to go. I was thinking about doing an ending immediately after. Ask you what you'd like to do maybe a couple months down the road. So if there's anything you guys would like to get into.
I've been kind of thinking about Felix's life, where he's kind of going to end up. I know at the end of the last episode, I talked about how Felix had decided that after years of, being in solitude and then missing out for God knows how long between, being brainwashed and like all that jazz, he's going to leave his life of hermitude. I think he would like to move into the town of New Haven, because this world, this community's been living without magic for so long, and he is a pretty powerful caster now. He's kind of learned as he come up. Maybe set up a little Felix's training camp and start kind of trying to teach people the ways of the druidic lifestyle. And maybe he might start wearing pants.
Wow. 50 years down the road.
It was 50 plus.
Would you ever go to visit the bazaar again?
Oh, absolutely.
Check out
That
the
was-
farms.
Because that was something Stenwick was going to want to take care of right off the bat, because we left the bazaar kind of in a weird situation, because the undead astrals were like right on their doorstep, and we were like, hey guys, have a good one, just stay prey to unfairness if they get too close, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
So I like to believe that at some point right after New Haven kind of gets its freedom and everything, that Stenwick would send out Arnie and Ava out that way, along with some envoys from New Haven itself, and try to work out some version of peace between the Astrals and the people working there, people living there, with the additional caveat of, hey, you don't have to live life with like the dead bodies of all the people you used to be close with. You could just go and live with people who are living, like, of your kind, and maybe you won't be as lonely. So it's kind of sad that he just brought back dead people. But that was my thought with that one, at least.
I'd agree to that. Yeah, that Astro was planning a full destruction of the bazaar. And the guards were not planning on attacking whatsoever. So I'd agree with Ava going, really inspecting the bazaar and trying to take care of that herself.
And I imagine everywhere she goes at that point, Arnie is by her side until she gets on her feet again.
Once she's on her feet, he can get right back to his.
I would like to go into business with Claude.
With the bar itself or anything else?
Just in general.
The fight pit.
Life partner.
Just life partners. The bar, become a brewer, try to recreate that wine that I stole from the werebear,
Okay.
and become a billionaire.
I mean, we kind of already are, aren't we?
Basically.
Become a double billionaire.
Right. Like, how much platinum did we get out of that? 10 million?
You ended up with about 8,000 platinum.
8,000 platinum,
8,000
which is like,
platinum.
what? 800,000 gold.
That's almost 10 million.
No, we had to take some of the diamonds out
That's right.
to save our boy.
Whoop. That money to build a giant bar, brewery.
Where'd you like to
But-
put it at?
Oh, serious, of course.
Oh, you should have.
Those people need some alcohol, and also because I want to find out who those floating people are, and maybe beat them up.
What floating people?
The people who are in charge of Cirrus.
Oh,
Just
Elder Frederick.
float above
well,
it.
funny thing, and I think I got this right, Derek. Essentially, what Top Knot discovered was that Cirrus actually had no government. They all thought they had like this shadow government that ran things, but in truth, like no one. They have no infrastructure in that way. It's like they were just a group of people who all thought they were being led by other people, but all the old leaders died, and it was just Frederick, like his body, making the city float. But there's no actual standing government in Cirrus.
It was just kind of like a legacy kind of thing of Frederick floating above. They thought they had some kind of power going on, but yeah, nobody had a clue.
Did I know that?
Yeah, Top Knot told you guys toward the end of the campaign last time. He told Penelope. I don't know if anyone else is present.
If I was present for that, I would also like to take over Cirrus. If I wasn't present with that, I will stay in my bar.
And Penelope being the person that, essentially had lost everything, his wife, his children, well, his child, given the opportunity to be able to spend time with family and to be able to grow with them, he obviously is going to stay after the events. And his his life goal pretty much in the beginning was perfecting the change potion. However, spending time with family, Penelope's kind of has two life goals now. One is traveling, going from New Haven, Sirius, and wanting to create like a better means of communication, whether it's getting a sending stone in every house, almost acting like a telephone, but then also working. Yeah.
Better help you start the telephone company.
Yeah. Elpie's phones. Then also working on in Sterling's lab, working to create like a potion to prolong life. He realized that life is one of the most precious things, especially spending time with family. So anything to prolong it is his life goal.
I have a little flower shop, Felix's Flowers.
Next to Pell's Pelt.
Yeah, right next to Pell's Pelts. And I want to point out that I never stopped just walking in there and stealing things from him.
Well, there was something Derek and I talked about that I wanted to get to with that. So, for Felix, and actually for everyone, well, first off, I like to imagine right after DuPont was put to death, Ironhammer, you feel a vibration in your pocket. Ring, 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 ring.
Banana phone.
Well, banana phone. That's not fine.
It's the sending stone that you had, and Stenwick is on the other end. Hey, this is Stenwick just calling in, see how you guys are doing. I told you I'd give you a call, so just seeing how things are, see if you need anything. Are you alive?
I scream into it. And then I throw it into the ocean.
When your first time you met him, you told him to call you. You did the little call motion with your hand, way back in the first game or second game, whatever it was. So he
That's
did.
true. I also threw a bunch of money at you, I think.
Yeah, you did. He gave that back though. At some point, if you guys make it back to New Haven at any point in your travels, he does try to pay you back some of what was owed to you, but kind of with caveats for everyone. Namely for Felix, because you actually don't get any money. You basically get nothing except a forgiveness from all of the debts you have accrued, and all of the stock, basically every shop you've ever visited in this campaign.
That's not true.
You didn't pay Winry for anything. You didn't pay Pell for anything. You didn't. I think there was
I paid Winry. I stole from Winry, but I also paid for it. I paid for the bombs.
So basically, he reaches out to everyone you've ever been in contact with and pays whatever that you may owe. And he also gives you, well, whenever you visit New Haven for the first time, and I'm assuming move into a house or move in.
Well, I mean, it'd be nice if there was like a shop with an apartment up top, or like a shop with a big backyard that I can just build like something behind it.
One day when you come into your shop, like toward the beginning of building the place up, you find that in the very center of the room is the throne that once belonged to Irene. Because you said that's what you wanted. that was one of your very first requests before we came up with ridiculous amounts of gold and everything. You were like, I want that throne. So
Felix is gonna walk in and see it and immediately run over and just kind of like jump in it. It rocks back on the back two legs, but eventually settles back down.
Does it though?
It's like solid gold. And I wanted it to be a goal too with whoever was interested in helping. Stenwick wants to try to unite the continent and potentially some of Primador against Davenport in the event that they decide to reclaim their one-time territory. Essentially, at one point, he would just send a letter out saying, hey, once they're strong enough to know that they can defend themselves, learning about magic, learning about technology, send a letter out and say, hey, this place does not belong to you anymore. It belongs to the free citizens of Muldoon. If you want it, you can try to come take it, but
So, in addition to that, I can add the first idea when we talked about the blank government of Cirrus. Bromness will actually try to contact Stenwick about seeing. He'll open the portals again, but he wanted to see if you would want to live in Cirrus for just a little bit, just to teach them more about government and trying to make a tighter connection.
maybe as a consultant.
Yeah.
Stenwick, there gets to be a point, and I'm not sure how long it would take to get there, but once the continent seems like it's in a decent enough place, and there's a council and there's people in charge that he feels are competent in doing their jobs, he's going to leave New Haven and that kind of life altogether and live with Arnie in the Hanami Forest.
Mm.
And at some point, probably right after he moves out there, after years and years, I'm assuming, of all these plans and doing all these things to get the continent the way that it needs to be, he's going to propose to Arnie. And he's going to use the ring that he was wearing around his neck the whole time, his family heirloom, because it means a lot to him, for one, and also he knows it would probably really, really piss his dad off. If his dad were...
me, Dad.
And then at some point...
Penelope gets to give you away, or give Stenwick away at the wedding.
Oh, he would love that. Because Penelope was kind of like this pseudo father figure toward the end for Stenwick, so that'd be awesome.
Felix is the flower girl.
Can I be the priest?
Yeah. Oh my God, yo, whole fucking thing. We got all that.
That would be our first animated feature. Is Stenwick's wedding.
That's awesome.
But it goes awry because Toad steals the cake, and you're on a search to find him.
Oh my God.
Okay, we have our one shot.
Oh my God, I'm in.
And then at some point shortly thereafter, they're going to look into adopting, because Stenwick never really had the chance to have a real childhood, so he was always that's why he was always really awkward around kids, because he never knew what it was like to be a kid himself. But Arnie had a really good upbringing until his sister had passed. So I'm hoping that Arnie's able to kind of teach him how to be a good father figure and how to be a good parent. And he'd end up being able to give an actual childhood to someone who needs it. And then the last thing that I wanted to do was, at some point when we're still back in New Haven and everything, I want to prepare the blue chest that was in DuPont's room, one that was Toad's. And that would be kind of our initial gift to Cirrus, as like a willingness to build the bridge between our city and theirs, where we send all of our juices and fruits and, all these things. Excuse me, but I make it a point to, after we give that to them, to make sure the chest goes to Toad, because he had asked about it.
Yes, one other thing for Penelope that I forgot to mention, that after creating the Penelope's phones, the change potion that he has perfected, he wants to send along pretty much the process for creating it, actually send it to Stenwick for, I hate to say military purposes, but it's almost pretty much like a picture like Captain America, the superhero serum. Sending that along for, use within any sort of military application, too.
That's tough. I don't know if it's something Stenwick would use, but he probably would hold on to it in case Davenport ever came back to collect any, get their land back, as if we were desperate enough. But I think he'd be torn, because that's what had happened to the Tyrants, was they were a failed experiment with a version of that potion, right? Mm-hmm. Is that what, a version of some kind of change potion?
Yep.
So it'd be weird. He probably would keep it locked away unless it absolutely was necessary.
And that's truthfully what Penelope was feeling, that only in dire need is that available. But wanted it to be known and, have it be out there just in case.
Is there any further history you guys would like to go into, say like many years down the road? If not, I can get into some of the other characters.
I wanted to know what happened with Top Knot.
Oh, yeah.
He goes back to Cirrus and he turns himself in and tells everyone.
He's dead.
Yeah, like what kind of, how many years is he facing? Does he get shivved in prison? Like, what happens to Top Knot?
So why was Tom not going to jail?
He killed Leuven. He blew him up.
Right, but wasn't it like in self-defense?
No.
Oh.
He thought, maybe potentially at the time, he didn't know who to trust and whatever. His belief was that Leuven was part of this shadow government that was evil, whatever, and then he came to learn over his time there that there was no government, and that it was just a loose collection of people doing things, and yeah, he killed Leuven. So,
Oh, Jesus fuck.
yeah, he just blew up some guy, so he feels really bad about that. So he turned himself in.
So, Bromnus' plan, once Top Knot gets up to Cirrus again and explains what happened to Leuven, Bromnus will take Top Knot directly to the cells once again. However, taking into account everything that that Top Knot had been dealing with, he notices the halfling quietly shudder as he enters into another lonely, empty room. Bromnus will watch the Tinkerer as he enters into the cell and closes the door behind him. But before exiting, Bromnus will say, "Enjoy your stay," and snaps his fingers as the door shuts. In an instant, Top Knot, you can turn around, and the cells have all disappeared as a laboratory appears in front of you. What you realize is that Bromnus gave you your own separate permanent laboratory up in Cirrus, if you would choose to stay.
Yeah, I think he would want to stay with Toad as much as possible. He felt really bad. That was his one regret with turning himself in, was that he was essentially leaving Toad by himself again. Because he left for Cyclops with Penelope, too.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I thought. You find Toad, and you have to explain what happens, and Bromnus leads Toad inside, and he helps as your sidekick, almost.
So is this lab, like, am I allowed to leave it? Like, is this, am I still a prisoner, but now I just have access to equipment?
No,
How is that?
what I pictured is you're still like very confused. So you take like your first step outside the door, and you just see like a bunch of guards just like staring at you, grimacing, and then they just start waving and just start saying hi. Because you're not actually in prison. They all understand what happened. So you're free to come and go.
Jeez. Probably just out of guilt, he's just going to stay in the prison. Like, stay in that area whenever he's not in the lab for like a couple years. And essentially all he's doing during that time is inventing and writing. And I like to believe at some point he publishes his book and several more books, makes it big, and many, many years later, eventually, maybe even with Toad, they go back up to Primador and start a little farm there. And at that point, I'm thinking all of Top Knot's memories would have returned. All of these ideas he had once had, all these things that he had once built kind of returned to him. And essentially this farm that he builds is almost fully autonomous. There's like a assembly line, and there's like creatures like Cyclops, but to varying degrees. Some of them are somewhat almost verging on sentience. And he just runs this farm essentially like with robots.
Have you guys seen Love, Death, and Robots? I think I brought it up before.
I've watched it with you.
That one, yes. Yeah, I was thinking there was a different episode where they end up turning robotic creatures like rabbits and stuff into almost fully sentient with like steam always coming out. I like that image.
Yeah, so it's like that.
One thing I thought of with Penelope and Toad can they establish like an annual mud wrestling tournament?
Toad would absolutely love that.
Oh yeah.
So another guy, Nelson, he enjoyed his time on the ship with a group, and will offer you guys just a small fee whenever you guys need him to sail you anywhere.
Well, it's our boat, so.
Yes,
They didn't buy.
Hammer.
but you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't buy the person, unfortunately.
No, we bought the boat. But
Unfortunately,
that's something else I would like to get into. I mean, we're gonna have to confer with Iron Hammer how he feels about it, but like, not so much as sell the boat to Nelson, but like have Nelson be the captain of our boat and basically just fund it so we can start like a shipping company,
at some
like doing trade. Yeah. Getting flowers to places and like the chungy berries, because that's
true.
another thing that was in our world. And like maybe figuring out to set up some kind of trade route to the Oasis, because I mean,
Oh yeah.
there's money there.
yeah.
And
Well, it
just
seems like a lot of this stuff we all would work in tangent, because that was the
Right.
whole idea of bringing the continent together, is with the allure of trade and travel. And I know at some point Stenwick would probably hire Nelson and company to help him build a fleet of ships to help defend the continent from attacks from overseas. So that would be
we also have the Tesla cannon too.
It's true. We have a lot of crazy shit.
Nelson will also, if you guys are interested, will start looking into trying to figure out a way to Davenport, to Dawn Lake itself, along with Captain Bart. So we can save that for another future game.
Ooh.
And then, what else? I have one last character, Ezekiel, the lizard.
Yes.
His partner and their child actually live on Primador. If you guys would have investigated his dresser, you would have been able to find letters from his wife about her and their kid's life, while Ezekiel was busy in Muldoon collecting funds, renting out the lizards. Then you would have been able to get Ezekiel to like spill more information about what was going on, and
Fuck.
get information on the astrals, basically.
Like of all the characters that know shit, like Ezekiel.
Yeah, one guy that's hermit in the in the desert. Damn it!
Oh, I feel like I missed like an entire side quest in a game. Like it's coming up as like 98.5%. I can't figure out what that last.
Well, it's a good thing I had a whole idea for Scarlet to kind of come back a little bit in Penelope's mind and kill Ezekiel.
Oh my god!
He kind of came back and put the potion on the one lizard, but there was more. Like I was going to just straight up murder Ezekiel. So.
And if that happened, he never would have had a kid. I never would have brought that up.
Oh,
That's so funny.
Trip, when he was in Cirrus, immediately after the Astral's first attack with the UFOs, I had you go inside one of the ships, and you collected a small, I think it was purple potion, something like that. I originally intended that to be an astral growing up inside of it.
Oh.
But we never got to that, which I'm fine with. It would have caused some confusion. But I was gonna have like a baby astral to like follow you guys around.
See, I wrote down that I collected like a piece of the black metal disc.
Oh,
I thought that I collected that, not the purple potion.
I might have messed that part up, but yeah, it would have weirded things out though. Especially because you were like right before actually fighting the astrals.
Oh, that could have been neat though. That could have been.
Like a little astral right
Yeah.
on my shoulder.
Well, it would have kind of thrown around like the moral ambiguity of everything. Like, hey, are we really the bad guys, kind of thing. So
right.
Which is already, I mean, that was in the back of my head since like game one. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but
The minute we went into the Titan base, I'm like,
yeah.
I feel like we might be attacking the wrong people.
And that kind of, maybe you're going to get into this already, Derek. So, was it your original plan to have DuPont be the villain?
Absolutely not.
Really? Because he always seemed pretty fucking sketchy to me from the beginning.
Because I was very bad at improv, and it turned out so well that it worked. The Astrals were intended to always be the villain.
Oh wow!
Yep. We were multiple episodes in the campaign, and I was like, this works out so much better.
So Scarlet really wasn't that far off in the beginning.
No, you were right.
All right.
Yeah, let me get into that. Astrals were actually bad guys the whole time. I only switched King DuPont to be evil because I was just being weird as him. DuPont, he was obviously shitty to the tyrants, but him and Irene were always planned to be semi-decent. Like when Irene first showed up to Top Knot, she was always going to be a helpful character that would just show up and help in case you guys were about to pass away or something.
That's what I didn't understand. Like, why she helped us out at first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she ended up helping because she wanted the Astrals dead, just getting rid of you. Yeah.
That's what I was kind of thinking. It's like, as long as we were working with her, she was willing to help, but the second we decided not to. But that's kind of, how did they know that we spared the Astrals? Because it was like we spared them, and then I think later that same game is when Irene showed up and kidnapped Top Knot.
Oh, she was there the whole time.
Oh, like watching?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, basically every Astral fight, she was following you guys. So the original story, you were a group in a 200-year time chamber in the far future. It was a war between various planets, and your dreams inside the tank were based on a board game that I'll say 4 soldiers would play, kind of like Jumanji. The game entered into their dreams inside the time chamber, where the villain became the Astrals, and the Astrals were the real life enemies you guys were fighting on this separate planet. Muldoon was a planet that our military was trying to take down after the Astrals started attacking us. Muldoon is an anagram for Old Moon. In the end, whoever's character lived at the end of the campaign survived the time chamber and were able to crawl out right as many of our ships sent out missiles demolishing Muldoon in front of us. So it went from planet to just a continent.
Holy shit.
You still could have had us like wake up and that been the end. Like, everything was a dream.
Yeah, we were in the tube the whole time.
And that's what I had to fix. I was like, man, I love the story, but that would be so fucked up in front of you guys to just...
Imagine we do 50 episodes and then we just wait at the end.
And then in addition, there can be
Some real new hard shit.
there's no more games we could have done after that.
Yeah.
That would have just been the it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That is so... Man, that's a change.
The last bit of history I have, just on the top of my head, the dog collar around Felix's neck from Gwen in Illuminique.
Oh, yeah.
Was intended to allow animals to speak. That's why when you were starting to neigh as a horse, you kind of let words out.
I was wondering what was going on with that.
If you would have ever put it on Tank 2 Ravioli, I was going to make it a character along with the rest of the group.
Oh my god.
Oh, man.
And that was
so good.
That was the plan for Bud. Bud Anthony was going to be Tank 2 Ravioli.
Oh my god.
Holy fuck.
And I fucked it all up.
Well, I just thought you were playing around with like the spell, like, hey, your spell's fading, that's why you can talk, kind of thing.
See, I thought he was playing around with like Felix just getting used to using the cantric more, and then after a while, he would just be able to speak, and then it stopped happening when I would turn into the gorilla, which I was the gorilla a lot, and I thought, what the fuck?
Was there never one of us that did a detect magic spell or anything?
Not on the collar.
There were
Not on the collar.
Isn't detect magic just a proximity thing?
Oh, detect magic? Yeah, I guess. I don't think I have. I think I'm the only one with detect magic, and I didn't cast it a single time. I don't think.
I was gonna say there's a lot of items. I have already planned out item cards that you guys didn't identify or anything.
Fine.
Yeah, we didn't cast identify. We didn't detect magic.
I can't identify on so much shit.
There's still a decent amount.
And everything.
But
I
yeah.
feel like I cast identify on all the things that were maybe obviously magical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you did the boots, the dumb stick, the rock, Arnie's arrow. What were the big ones that we missed?
We had the braid from the bazaar, the orc braid.
Oh yeah. Why did we not think that was magic? How did we think that wasn't? That's just crazy.
Yeah.
I'm so bummed out that I didn't.
I know.
Ravioli.
Dog.
My whole plan was to make him sound like Triumph, the insult comic dog. Like you guys were always friendly to him, and he would just tell you guys to fuck off constantly.
Oh, it would have been so good.
That would have been awesome.
Do you want me to go through the Q&A, Andrew, you already sent me first? And then do any additional questions? I already have a bunch written out.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we get on into that, because it's been bothering me all campaign. Felix and Ironham, what the fuck are your first names?
That's the first question.
Yeah. I had a
I
first.
truthfully never chose one.
Yeah. Honestly, I kind of let Felix become his first name and thought about trying to figure out a last name for Felix, but
I'll say, I don't know what episode it was, but Felix, your original first name was going to begin with an N, and Ironhammer's was an L.
oh, that's right. My name was going to be Nigel.
Nigel.
Felix.
Yeah, you mentioned that once, and I think it got cut out in the
Yeah,
audio version.
yeah, because my name is Nigel Felix.
Nigel Felix. You have two first names, Ricky Bobby. God, I'd probably go with like Leroy or something. If you had to make me choose right now,
Leroy Ironhammer.
I'd be Leroy. Yeah.
Why is there astral blood in everything? Their version of magic and advanced technology. They were all originally aberrations, similar to the aboleth. The astrals were just evolved versions of aberrations. Their last remaining ability with magic is not a thing they can use in their bodies. Only the blood contains the magical ability. So they had to pull it out of themselves to extract it into something else.
Pretty hardcore.
That's like blood hunters, right? That's what they.
Who did the skeleton in the astral base belong to? Why did it move when Scarlet grabbed the potion? That was one of Penelope's original lab assistants. It sealed the door and evoked a seal in itself to approach whoever stepped inside. Why was Clifford keeping the astrals a secret from everyone while also trying to incite a war? His guards knew nothing about them, but presumably would have fought them. Why wait for the ass to bring samples back? He wanted to wait.
Yeah.
He wanted to wait for them to return with an astral sample to prove that they were able to actually accomplish it. All of the skeletons in his hidden room were from other missions from other periods of other hunters going to find the astrals. Didn't want to fight the astrals with just his guards because he knew they could not take them down without any magical aid, which we saw with King Gerald. In addition to guards and citizens not knowing, they were replaced in New Haven almost every time a new king was put in charge. They would take new people from DuPont and bring them to New Haven.
She like knew people from Davenport.
Even citizens and everything.
What did they do with the old ones?
Got rid of them.
They just killed them.
Yeah.
What a fucking model. Like, what? That's not sustainable.
Oh, also, if anything devastating did happen inside of New Haven, they would have sent some of their previous aid from Goldshire to wipe the citizens' minds as well.
That was a question that I thought of after the fact. So, you mentioned Goldshire was a continent, Davenport was a continent, Muldoon and Primador were continents, in addition to the one we originally came from. So we were in Continent A, we got kidnapped by Davenport, we were brainwashed on Goldshire in order to go to Muldoon, and at the end we went to Davenport, right?
Let me fix that a bit. Donsalak, Muldoon, and Primador are continents. Davenport was a kingdom, and then Goldshire was a small town to the south on Donsalak.
So where did we come from?
You all came from
Donsalak.
Yes, just various areas.
Oh, because there was a point where we had asked if that meant anything, if like that name was one that we recognized. I don't think any of us did.
No, at that moment, it was just a word from DuPont before sentencing.
Would it become something that we like remembered eventually? Mm-hmm. Like I know you said our memory came back eventually, so
Yeah, once everything was finished, including months after the ending, everything would have been remembered. What happened to Ironhammer's family? The last we saw, he was about to sit down for dinner, but it ended up being a fake memory. Yes, Ironhammer's memory is mostly blank. He was a child, so Davenport imported a memory. Imported a memory inside of him where astrals took over his home. In reality, they took him while he was playing outside after seeing his early magical abilities. Similar to Felix when he walked outside. It wasn't the astrals, it was just soldiers themselves.
And did we cover soldiers were poisoning Top Knot's hometown? Is that how people got sick, or was that just a memory they made up?
I figured he got sick because of there was like a plague kind of thing. Like it spread from a rat to a cat, and then the cat was going all around the place, spread. So it had presumably nothing to do with anything.
Well, I'm just trying to see what the link between astrals and cats were.
He just conflated it because one of his last memories when he left the farm was of killing his cat. And then, so like when he left, he was really guilty and angry, and then that's when he got taken. And then they kind of conflated those feelings with his, like when they brainwashed him, kind of projected all of that onto the astrals.
Okay.
He was all over the place. Whenever he first saw one, he was like, "Man, we should save it." And then the next moment, he stabs it in the head.
Right.
You know, like he was all over the place with it.
Oh, I have to get into Davenport. I forgot about that. All right, so many centuries before in Davenport, there were two twin princes born. When they were born, their father, King Raymond, told them that they would train to become the new king after he had passed. They would basically compete with each other. They trained religiously for 3 decades until their parents contracted a disease. Before their father passed, he decided that the firstborn son would be declared king of Davenport. The second-born son, Ulrich, believed he was going to be crowned king due to his intellect and charisma, in addition to his strong magical abilities. Not content with being a prince, Ulrich asked his new king, his brother Francis, if he could explore the world on his own with a group of soldiers to see what he could find. He eventually landed on the western side of Muldoon, where his soldiers took out a group of astrals in the New Haven area. They took the land and began constructing their base. Astrals do not travel very often, so it took close to 200 years until any astral went to check out the outpost. Able to take the invading astrals down thanks to the magical users they gained from Goldshire, they never lost their kingdom. In Van Dorn's journal, it was nothing specific. It was a daily journal of his life to remember his stories before he left New Haven. It had nice stories between his friends, questions on what he should do in the future, memorable conversations. One of his last entries would have been his goodbyes to everyone, with a note about how King DuPont's face transformed from a smile to a look of complete anger after turning away from Van Dorn. That should be it for me. The only last one, Captain Holbrook told us to tell Marnie that he knew where the bodies were buried. Was there anything more to that? Absolutely not. That was a joke between Jesse and me. From Your Mom's House podcast, Holbrook's first name was Garth. The joke on the podcast is that they think Garth Brooks is a serial killer. So people go on his Instagram and comment, "Tell us where the bodies are, Garth."
So a couple more that I had. Petal. Whenever we first met her, she was basically like mortally injured. She was about to die before she got her head cut off. What happened to her before she got back to the base? Like, was it New Haven guards that did it? Was it Astrals and Aboleth?
Last one, Aboleth. She wasn't too experienced. She thought it was an Astral, but it was an Aboleth that stabbed her when she returned.
What was the Tyrant's problem with the Astrals? Did we go over that? I know they were ultimately like New Haven recruits as well, but they were also kind of fucked over by New Haven. You would think that they'd want to like team up.
I figured they were just curious.
Yeah, my idea was they had so much more information in the laboratories that DuPont never cleaned up, or the previous kings. So they were like, "Oh yeah, we got to get into like the astral business, see what we can learn."
Okay.
The astral business.
The Astral business.
I don't know if you ever covered this either, but what was the purpose of the blue potion that Scarlet found in the Tyrant base? I know that turned one of the skulls into a butterfly. What's the name of the blacksmith?
Magnus.
Magnus. Like, it turned him into a bear.
Was that to kill the Astrals? Was that the potion that was like the you put it on an Astral and it dies immediately potion? Was that a different one?
Well, because I thought I put a drop on one of the Astrals and it didn't do anything.
Well, it screamed out. It may have like, if I remember correctly, I think it like screamed or something, but it didn't do anything besides that.
Yeah, my plan originally was a mix between the blue potion and the yellow astral blood. So the blue potion would only turn other creatures into animals, but would hurt the astrals. What was it? What was the thing you dropped on the lizard? Was that the yellow?
That was a combination of the astral blood and the blue potion, which turned green, and I dropped it on it.
Okay, and yeah, and in that way, it was just a bad mix-up. With a better mix, it might have created like a super lizard.
Instead, we got the abomination with a bunch of mouths.
I got my fingers fucking shot off.
One of the big questions I had was, in whose language were the books written? Was it the astral language, or was it, because it seemed like it was only written, everything we found was written by humans for humans just a long time ago, but it required the astral eyes to read them. And then Praetor Infinitus was also in that language. So was it astral language, human? Was it something else?
It
It was
was
actually just English upside down, and we never flipped the book over. Let me alert here, 1 second.
Tell him I said hi.
Yeah.
It was astral language. Some of the magical users in New Haven and Cirrus had basic translations of the speech and started to write it on their own.
So they were like, hey, there's this astral language, let's write a cookbook in it. Okay. And if I was following this correctly, so Sears broke away from New Haven and then acquired all of their outposts. it lost the outpost that was at the Oasis at some point, and then the Bazaar sprang up there and whatever. It seemed like New Haven was, like, DuPont was really focused on fighting off these Astrals, but he didn't really care so much about this, like, the people who broke away and then took all their land.
That kind of resorts to the same thing with the Astrals. With no magical force, he knew he could do almost nothing. In retaliation, he knew they had much stronger magical users.
Gotcha.
I was just going to ask why he never. I mean, he had two powerful magic users at his disposal. Why did he never, like? Why was he? I understand, like, they were anti-magic because of, like, oh, the split off and yada yada yada. But he can obviously, like, brainwash and all this. Why did he just say, fuck magic instead of, like, oh, well, I guess we're gonna have to need new magic?
Off of that too, because maybe you can answer them both at the same time. And Jesse and I talked about this before. The technology, like the pods that we woke up in and everything.
Right.
What happened to the technology that New Haven had, or Davenport had to do that to us? Because there was nothing outside of what we interacted with the Astral that were that.
Right. Yeah, I forgot that was a. Like, why was that the only? And, like, the Astrals had some advanced technology. They had the weapons and all that. But why was everything else so medieval, kind of?
We just invented apple juice.
I do agree with that. I could have included more of that in particular. The
steampunky aspect.
Yeah, I could have included that more. But the tanks themselves were created by the Sierra citizens before they left.
Okay.
And Jesse, what was your other question?
The magic.
Why like he never got new magic users?
Good question. Because that would have been even before DuPont himself. I guess in my mind, after seeing King Gerald travel to Primador, getting all of his troops just annihilated, the people in Davenport and Goldshire would have just shut it down.
Okay.
I figure in my mind, in Davenport, they would have been like, okay, New Haven's been doing absolutely nothing for centuries. So why give him more?
Okay, so they just kind of cut ties with them.
Basically.
We were the last of a dying.
And that's what I was hoping on the whole time, is that you guys would take care of it.
Also, had DuPont ever woken us up before? Or, like, were we just in the pods?
Oh, that's it too.
My plan was you were in the pods the whole time.
Okay.
I talked to him about that, because that was my big thing, was how many times have we woken up before?
Like I said, memory-wise, that's different. Everybody had their own amount of memory wipes they needed. But in the tube itself, it was just one time for 200 years.
Okay.
Although that would be dope, though, if I had it to go back and say, oh yeah, it actually happened like 10 other separate times with other kings. That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, we just never remembered.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. They were winter soldiering us the whole time and just wiping them.
That would have been a great reveal.
This is kind of going off, but at the beginning, when Scarlet was on his killing spree, did it mess up? Like, how much did it mess up everything? Like, killing Magnus, killing Petal. Like, did you have plans that Scarlet just fucked up for you?
Or feel going off of that?
No, honestly, I mean, you guys did pretty well with. I mean, any major decisions that I had to change, you all grouped up together and did that. Not a single person really threw anything off.
We all fucked it up.
We collectively fucked up.
Y'all fucked up.
We fucked everything up.
Y'all fucked up.
Were there any trajectories that you guys had for your characters that you were planning on going on that you ended up going a completely different route?
Yeah. I was gonna be a healer.
Wow.
Like my whole vision.
When you saw Call Lightning, you never went back.
Right, like my whole vision for Felix was like, oh, I'm gonna be the healer. Like it's gonna be great. Like I've never played that role before. I've always been like, fuck. Oh, like, Orlando was the tank of all tanks.
Mm-hmm.
And like I really wanted to play a healer, and then I'm like, oh wait a minute, lightning's cool. Oh, I could turn into a giant fucking gorilla and basically just be a tank again. And like that's why I built my character for Ian's campaign. So like, there's no way I can tank with him, and that's why I built him the way I did.
I'm really excited.
And then you pump up that dexterity.
Oh yeah.
You can be a tank with a rogue.
Yeah. Oh my god. Well,
You can be a damage dealer. You can't be a meat shield.
That's true. You can be an evasion tank. You just never get hit if your dex is high enough.
Right, like, but I played fucking meat shield for as the gorilla. I mean, fuck, that was an extra 100 and like the cheat, like the boss cheat where they've got like 4 health bars.
Yeah. I kind of envisioned my guy being more of like a support, like buffing people, and then it just turned out I had like 30 AC. I was like, I guess I'll just stand in front of everyone.
Oh, I never should have given you that armor from the beginning. If I knew how much,
Plate armor so early.
Oh,
if I would have known how much that would have given you, I never would have done that.
what about
That's why I remember I asked you too. I was like, "Are you sure that I can have this plate armor?" And you're like, "Yeah, no problem." It's
I had
fine."
no idea. Yep.
what about story wise? Ty, you were about to say something, I think.
Well, I was going to say, like, one thing that I had even kind of talked to Derek about, like the Scarlet Trip Penelope combination. Like, I was kind of planning like an internal battle mentally with Scarlet Trip and Penelope, where Scarlet was such a negative mindset, and like during the beginning of the campaign when we were really kind of talking about everything, that was right after my stepfather he committed suicide last year. So I was actually kind of thinking of doing like an internal struggle where the Potion of Possibility came in and developing the relationship with Stenwick and some of the other characters. It was going to kind of be after we accomplished one of the big things, we were going to do like kind of a send-off, and Penelope going through like such an internal battle. He was looking into committing suicide, and I was thinking of having either some of the characters come check in on him and see him in the act, and just really kind of get rid of Scarlet as like the only way to get rid of him was killing him, and through that act was going to end that. And the Potion of Possibility was just kind of bring him back and just show that there's so much more to live for, and we were going to do like a little kind of suicide PSA, just letting everyone, all of our wonderful listeners that are out there, letting them know that there's help out there and that they are important, and everything with that. So that was one thing that I kind of had planned, that just as it progressed, I didn't feel as if it really fit very well.
There were a couple times where there was a couple conversations between Stenwick and Penelope where I thought, and I had a feeling that you were towing that line. I was listening back through some of the older episodes, and it was like you were having this internal conversation. I'm sad that we weren't able to facilitate that kind of thing for that character, because I think that would have been a really cool thing to explore. But man, yeah, I had briefly gotten that idea, that thought that was coming from you, and then that was pretty much the end of it. I was like, oh, it must just be me. But yeah, wow.
No, yeah, you were right. It was just like for me, as time progressed, it was harder to kind of facilitate that into the story.
You didn't want to make it feel forced.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's a tone thing too. You know, if
Like,
they fucking around and then all of a sudden we're talking about this really serious thing, it's, you know, it's really easy to I don't know, come at it.
make it seem like we were taking it too lightly or a joke.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, shit.
Right.
Yeah.
There is a huge component of that in Madness. That's like one of the big things with the game. So my goal was to tackle a lot of that kind of stuff, setting that tone right from the beginning, like, hey, this is a little bit more serious kind of thing. So we'll see if you're able to translate any of that into this other one. But yeah, wow, that would have been a good one to explore.
Yeah, I think it was right after Hanami Forest when you guys went back up to Cirrus that one time. I think that's when Stenwick really figured it out.
Funny thing, and because I think it was almost the same conversation, Ty. My plan for Stenwick for the longest time was to destroy Cirrus. He left that note where, like, and we were on our way to the store. I was picking up bombs and potions and all these things. My plan was to go up to the mausoleum, blow the thing out of the sky, and, you know, go back to DuPont and be like, look what I did. And then on my way there, we had kind of the start of these serious conversations, and he realized, like, hey, there are bigger things out there. This can wait if it's something I want to do.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that part.
Yeah, well, my goal, I wanted to make it seem like it was coming out of the blue, but it wasn't, because there were several games where everything that was being said and done in Cirrus, Stenwick was writing down. Like, he went up to the rooftop at the Claude's establishment to get a layout of the city and everything, and he was going to go back to DuPont and being like, hey, these are the weak points, this is what I can do, all that stuff. So his initial plan as a character was to destroy Cirrus and fuck everyone over, but
I knew I didn't trust your character.
Penelope single-handedly was the reason that didn't happen, and Arnie, because there was the interaction with Arnie.
The interaction.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, but that was kind of the route he was going to go to earn his ring.
Talked more about the Felix being afraid of water thing.
And orcs with your family.
Oh yeah, my family orc thing. Yeah.
You got burned alive, right? You're in a house, right?
Right.
And you moved into your new place, but we never explored that one either. And yeah, I felt bad. And then anything to do with Ironhammer, we know nothing about.
Yeah.
That's what I was just gonna say. I feel like, yeah.
A dark, mysterious past.
I mean, Ironhammer probably was the most consistently played character.
Oh, absolutely.
I was by far the oldest. I feel like, I don't know, how long do dwarves normally live in the universe?
I don't know.
Close.
I figure
2, 3. I have no idea.
Well, I think
figured like
I was over 200 years old, so I was already like, sort of just.
yeah, and I think Ian, you and I talked about that. It's like not every character needs to have growth over the course of a story. It's like you could just be that person, and the fact that you don't change when things happen to you, that's your character. That's you know, who you are. So I think that's very.
The way I thought Ironhammer was just like, well, the way I'd initially conceived him was he was like very sort of distrustful of authority, and then just like was just content to sort of do his own thing.
And then you realize that too many of our other characters this campaign were like that.
right.
Yeah. But I feel like mine sort of came out. I guess I don't know. He was just sort of like a gruff asshole who, you know, he had a good heart. He was just old and tired of all your shit.
Just like the Ian in real life.
Exactly.
Scarlet, I mean, before the change from Scarlet to Trip, I had planned on, like, Scarlet feeding everyone, like, more and more human bodies, like, less and less from the blue potion, like, less animalistic, just more and more slowly getting them like the everyone the taste of human flesh, like closer and closer. So then eventually everyone could just be a cannibal, and not really.
He was weaning us toward cannibalism.
I wanted to wean everyone towards cannibals.
Yeah, is it cannibalism for me and Felix?
Right.
We're technically different species.
Also,
Well,
Felix didn't eat it.
That's true.
Well, yeah, Felix didn't eat it, but also there was never any opportunity where we met a dwarf, because if there was,
Oh yeah, there was.
I can guarantee that Scarlet would have done something to feed you guys dwarf.
Oh, that is a big one. I think you talked about Bromness before. If you would kill,
what about his
if you would
intestine?
killed Bromness, that would have been fucked up.
Oh,
My God, I don't know what I would have done if Bromness would have died.
Mom shows up with his shirt. He's shirtless, and he's like, "Hey, I was hiding. You didn't look for me."
Oh yeah, whatever happened to him? Did you guys talk about him? I might have cut out while you guys discussed Mop.
I didn't mention him. He was just Bromness's sidekick the whole time.
He seems like secretly super strong though.
He was.
Right.
He was very strong.
Not secretly.
Was he just
I mean,
built to be like, you guys are gonna get your ass beat? Let's throw this OP character in real quick.
Just in case.
Yeah. What's the guy from Blue Mountain State?
Castle.
Bad Castle.
Yes, I pictured him like that. But Bromness would just like fuck around with him all the time. But he was kind of dumb, but very strong.
Scarlet had
a bag full of puppy ears.
full intentions on killing Bromness, but because of the rolls, I was only able to get his intestines and turn it into a fishing pole. But yeah, full intentions.
Oh my
he,
God.
he was gonna be food for everyone.
That would have been the only big one.
I feel like at some point, Derek, you gave us a look or you said something where we were led to believe like, oh shit, this character is really important, and we shouldn't do it. I think it was literally in game. Bromness was like, hey, I'm gonna take you guys tomorrow to Cirrus. I'm the only one who can do it.
Yes.
And then you winked at us and we're like, so don't kill me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did that.
I already killed Petal. So.
That's so true. That was so funny. Like,
Did I kill him after he said that though? Well, I thought you turned his. When did you try to kill him? Was that the first time we met him?
That was when I busted through the house.
through the knife. Hey, he's got a knife.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. And then you told us, okay, we're not gonna do that. You're not allowed to kill him.
Oh
I was
yeah.
trying really hard.
Yeah, I had to cut that out because you all started trying to kill him then. And I
Yeah.
was like, what the fuck's going on? Why is everybody else doing it too?
He had a knife. I remember that now.
Man.
Honestly, people were much nicer to us than we deserved.
Oh my God.
All campaign long.
That's why I can't wait for Ian's, because I know I was way too nice throughout the entire thing.
You're gonna get fucking that my campaign.
Well, and so
You're gonna be pariahs.
yeah, I love the idea of there being serious consequences for bad decisions.
Actions.
And at least I know with Madness, at least there are potential one-shot kills.
That's so cool.
The idea is like, I mean, you can do it to other people. You can. It's the same way in real life. It's like you can technically kill a person in one shot. You know, it's really hard to do in Dungeons and Dragons, but like in this game, it's like if you get the leg up on someone, or if you roll really poorly and they roll really well, it can happen. Thank you again, Derek.
Yeah, thank you.
Great campaign.
Thank you
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Can we talk about Ian's real quick? The fact that it could possibly be like 150 fucking
I mean, I'm
episodes long.
if you guys are all
Yeah, I was
set,
thinking maybe we should do like a session 0 or something before mine actually starts.
I thought that was the plan anyway.
Yeah. I mean, we could do it now if you wanted to, but I don't have anything prepared to talk
Oh,
about.
no, we don't have to do that.
But I think maybe just do like an hour-long session 0 or something, just to get because there's like a few rule changes I've been sort of playing around with, maybe putting in, but I think it'll just be good to get everyone's like expectations and whatnot going in, and
Yeah, I think
everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
And then Jesse, you and I need to get together again at some point and start figuring out our the way we want to, our dynamic,
Yes.
duo, how we want to go about doing this.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I don't like this.
Like who rides on whose back and
No one's riding on your back.
all right, hey, I'll see you guys.
boogity boogity.
Thanks, guys.
Later.